Welcome to the Investor Coaching Show. Here's your host, Paul Winkler.
Okay, I'm back here on the Investor Coaching Show. Paul Winkler, talking money and investing. So, looking at data this week, looking at data on inflation specifically. You know, we talk about inflation and you think, it's the same everywhere. No, it's not the same everywhere. Different countries experience different rates of inflation. And if you look at the data, it's different. You look at China, for example. China, no inflation. Why? Because you shut down the economy. There's nothing going on. You're not going to have any inflation. You know, so basically that's what's happening. And you look at the streets there. They got video of the streets and you go, oh, man, who would want to live in there? I would not want to live through those conditions. Yuck. But they don't have very high inflation because they're not producing much. And that's, inflation's prices going up. And it's because you have too much demand and too little supply. So it's not happening in China. They're not having that problem. Also, Mexico actually does not have a really high inflation rate, fairly low. Why? Because they raised interest rates earlier than other countries did. And you raise interest rates because if you raise interest rates, you decrease demand for goods because people buy stuff and they buy it on credit. And then when you buy things on credit, then people have to produce those things. And when they produce those things, you need labor to produce those things. And labor is very costly. So therefore, it's inflationary. So hence the reason that right now that the Fed has been increasing interest rates is to slow down demand some. And then a lot of people pitch in a fit going, it's premature, this not, and you don't know. I mean, it's just, you really can't predict any of this stuff. Data is constantly coming out, which makes it impossible to predict market direction, of course, by the way. But the inflation rate is varying around the world. And that has people kind of looking at going, what exactly is going on? What are these costs of inputs and why is it going up so much? So what happened is that this data is coming out and I'm looking at it and thinking about, how does that actually impact things? If we look at the inflation rates here in the United States, fairly high recently. I mean, July numbers were 8.5%. That's pretty significantly high. And yet, what's causing those inflation rates to be that high? And my wife and I were talking about this, and she says, well, what is going on? She goes, every place I go, they're looking for help. I mean, they're literally looking at hiring anybody that can fog a mirror just about because they need help that bad. And especially when you're looking at retail outlets and you're looking at restaurants and those types of things, and they're needing people. And what is exactly happening? Well, part of it, number one, is that you have the older population. The older population, they got a taste. Because some people say, well, it's just people are just lazy now. That's all there is to it. They're lazy. They don't want to work. They don't want to go in and do anything. It's too hard. Don't want to work. And they're getting money for free from the government, and that's it. It's a lot more complicated than that. You have some people that are older that were working, they thought they would be just fine, and then all of a sudden with the pandemic, they ended up out of work and they go home. This not having to do anything all day long isn't so bad. And maybe people that were on the margin going, I don't know if I can retire, I don't know if I can live at this level, and blah, blah, blah. They're going, hey, maybe I can retire. Maybe this is okay. Maybe I'm okay living on this budget and it's all good. And they went and retired. When they did that, they actually opened up opportunities for younger people to take their jobs. And it's the same thing that happened with Social Security. Social Security was set in force partially to remove older people from the workforce to make way for younger people. And that's exactly what it did. And older people, now that they had an income coming in from Social Security, money that they didn't set aside, now they go and retire and younger people take their jobs. Well, that's what's happening now. So people maybe moved out of working in retail, maybe working in restaurants, and maybe they went back to school and they got some kind of a degree that they needed to take a job in another area. And they took the job of the person that ended up leaving the workforce because they were older and they went through that period of time when they were forced out of the workforce and then became pretty complacent with it, like the idea. So what happened is that's number one. Well, when you have a really low birth rate and you just don't have enough people coming in, younger people coming in to replace older people that are leaving the workforce, you got a problem on your hands. You don't have enough labor. And when you don't have enough labor, you drive the price of labor up. When you drive the price of labor up, that drives inflation up. And that's partially what's going on. We just don't have the replacement rate that, and China is dealing with that in a big way, but they're not seeing the problems because of shutting down the economy. Remember, they had the one person per family, one child per family policy. And, when that went away, people were in the habit of only having one kid, and that was it. It didn't really change people's patterns of having children. So what do we do to actually decrease demand? We increase interest rates. And that's basically what we've seen going on. So that is, and I look back at, you say, I talk about people leaving restaurants and leaving retail, and I kind of reminisce and I think about, man, what an education I got working in a restaurant. I mean, I learned marketing. I learned how to run a business. And I think a lot of people are being robbed of those opportunities because they're not working in those industries, and really kind of seeing from a ground up how like especially chain restaurants and like franchises and the business model that gets put together is phenomenal because you can emulate it in whatever you end up doing for a living. You can emulate that model and look at how systems are set up. And that's the whole idea behind a business, is having systems that you can replicate, so as to have an efficiently run business. I remember going to work for Burger King, and they send you in the back room, and this is how you flip a burger. This is how you roast the bun. This is how you put pickles on it, and you put ketchup and mustard and onions, and how you arrange it, and how you run a cash register, and how you do the fries, and how you work the fry machine, and how you pour a drink for people, and how it was literally a video on everything, exactly how you did it. And I remember asking the manager, why are Burger King, McDonald's, Wendy's, why do they always have them all bunched together? And the manager goes, well, the reason they do that is because it makes wherever the location is a destination. I'm hungry. Little Judy's hungry. Little Johnny's hungry. Let's go to, and we had this place around where I grew up, it was called Mayfair. And you would go to Mayfair because you knew there was a Burger King, there was a McDonald's, and there was a Wendy's, and there was, Kentucky Fried Chicken. Everything was all in the same spot. And if you wanted Burger King, you go over there, and then you run over across the street to Kentucky Fried Chicken, and somebody wants chicken, and you go, and you can all go to whatever one that you wanted to go to. And that's the way it worked. And you just went to one spot and or you could be, everybody eats at the same spot and you just decide last minute which one of the 4 that you want to go to of the examples I gave, okay? And I was like, wow, okay, so maybe it isn't so bad when all businesses are located all in the same spot. You might have a Home Depot and a Lowe's right in the same exact area, or a Publix and a Kroger, 2 grocery markets right in the same exact area. Why? Because you could just, I can go over to Kroger, get one thing, and I run over to Publix, get something else. So that's why that happens. But there's so many lessons, the point is, on how to run a business that I learned just being in a small business like that, being at the bottom level and watching how things worked. So, and you look at this and you go, wow, inflation, how does this affect things? And I was thinking about annuities, because if you go on the internet, you can actually get a quote on an annuity, how much you're going to get. And just for the fun of it, I ran the numbers just to see what's going on right now. Because right now it's a weird spot. You got low interest rates and you got high inflation. And annuities, people don't think about it. Most of them are fixed income annuities. Now you have the variable variety. Variable annuities are like mutual funds. And that's that type of annuity, I'm okay as long as it's a no-load annuity. No load, no commission. If you got somebody, doing a steak dinner or doing a class at the local library or something like that to teach you about Social Security, and by the way, we sell annuities, run. Just do yourself a favor and run, because it's commission-based and the commissions are so high, it's just awful. But But anyway, so, yeah, and then fixed annuities too. I mean, fixed annuities are a big thing, indexed annuities, those types of things. People think, indexing is a good investing strategy, and they talk about indexed annuities. That must be good. No, it's not, because it's not the same thing. But anyway, fixed annuities, you can have what's called an immediate annuity. That's what an annuity was designed to be. You give them a sum of money, and they pay you an income that you can't outlive. They pay you an income for the rest of your life. And it's really being talked about a lot in financial circles for all the wrong reasons. It's another form of market timing. Oh, fix it. It can't go down. So when the stock market goes down, you need to put all your money over here. In other words, pull your money out of something that, if stocks are down, you pull it out, and then you put it in this annuity. When the market goes back up, you put it back there again, because that's what will sell you as a variable annuity when the market goes back up. It's convoluted as the day is long. But there goes the investment industry. And the government, not knowing any better, goes, yeah, I think that's great. We ought to put you on a fixed. It's just like Social Security. No, it's not just like Social Security. Social Security has a COLA in it, cost of living allowance. It's just like the pensions of old. No, it's not. The old pensions of old have cost of living increases in them. Annuities, if you have a cost of living increase, I don't even know if they're out there anymore. I haven't seen one in years, because they're horrible. And they're based on a cap. The inflation rate is capped in them, so it's not so great. So I ran a quote, though, just for the fun of it, on an immediate annuity. If you were 65 years old, married to somebody 65 years old, and you gave an insurance company, and this is as of, there's a website, immediateannuities.com, and they'll give you a quote. So I took $100,000, and I said, $100,000, I want the annuity to start in 1 month. I want you to start paying me an income. Now, if you die, if both people are dead, the annuity payment stops. It's gone, and your $100,000 is gone in the example that they're talking about. Now, there are all kinds of different ones where they say that you don't lose the money, but then your payout is lower. So there's 100 pennies in the dollar. There's always a little trick. But basically what happens is if you give them $100,000, the payout is $6,372 a year. Now, what age? And I quizzed the folks in my office. Now, these guys are all sharp, so they got it, actually. And they were pretty doggone close. But what age do you think you would have to live to just to get your money back? What age would you have to live to just to get the $100,000 back that you gave them? Age 81. Age 81. Now, I don't know about you, but that doesn't seem like a really great deal to me, number one. Number two, if the inflation rate is what it was in July, 8.5%, how much money will you need at age 81 to buy what $6,372 did at age 65? You would need $23,500. You'd almost need 4 times as much money. Almost 4 times as much money to buy what the original payment got. And if you don't have that increase due to inflation, kind of like you don't with these things, then you are sunk. It's not good. But again, this is what's being sold out there in the marketplace like crazy. And you don't have any protection against this. And inflation, it might not be that high, probably won't be. Hopefully it won't be that high. Matter of fact, if I ran this and I said, what if inflation's 4%? Let's just use that going forward. Well, you'll still need about 3 times, or twice as much money, twice as much money, at age 81, which is still a problem. I mean, think about living on half of your current income. That's not a good solution. It's not, it can be a really nasty solution. And they're terrible accumulation vehicles, but they're sold all the time because they pay such high commissions. So hence, that's kind of what's going on in the world of inflation.